Ankh and Ma'at. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. This is the first ascension for the secular year of 2023. We are so pleased that so many of you are coming to us and are going to be joining us this Sunday. We know that some of you probably got it in last night. So for you to be on is an amazing thing. Let me just go ahead and welcome you again. And also ask, as we always do, where in the world you are. So, it's two questions, right? It's where in the world you are and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. At this point, I don't even introduce myself much anymore. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jedin Ma'at Aten Ra. I am the co-chief priest of the Shrine of Ma'at, and we are so pleased to be here with you this morning. So please go ahead and answer those questions. Let us know where in the world you are, and let us know how long you've been part of Kemetic Ascension. Do we have any answers?
They're coming in slowly.
I wonder why they're coming in slowly. Did some of you enjoy yourselves a bit much last night? What do we have?
We have Joanna Jahi Adisa from Columbus, Georgia.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Sinette Cheryl from DMV, one of our members.
Ankh and Ma'at. How are you, Sinette Cheryl? Good to know that you're still out there. Saw you for Tuesday Talk last week. Good to see you.
And of course, we have one of our Wenwet members, Sinette Sashat, or
Abut Sashat. Abut Sashat. I was just texting with her. Yes. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Abut Sashat.
Mm-hmm. We have St. Jason Holmes from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Aton Amun Ra.
Ankh and Ma'at. These are all the folks that are very involved, right? St. Jason, St. Aton, Abut Sashat, Sinette Cheryl. So absolutely, it's good to know that the family is still in good stead for this new secular calendar year.
And I believe this is Brother Augustus. He's calling himself Dripfire, the RGB stacker.
Is that your new name, Brother Augustus?
We have
Ankh and Ma'at to you, Brother Augustus.
MLK from the DMV.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Sen Rich, one of our members.
Ankh and Ma'at, Sen Rich, how are you? Right here in Queens, right? He's in Queens.
We have Santahuti Forever.
Ankh and Ma'at, I just saw your text, didn't even get a chance to respond. Ankh and Ma'at, I'm glad that you are doing well there. The Jati of Bennu, Phoenix. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
There's San Kenneth Dunson from Long Island.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Has been with us 2 years.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Bro Pansy Obabini Kanefer Webin Ra. I enjoy saying that.
Yes, I know you do.
Out
in Philly. I want to say he's in North Philly. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
One of my Seba students in my Metaneta class, Shahid Douglas.
Ankh and Ma'at.
See you out in St. Louis. Yeah.
See you out in St. Louis.
Huh?
See you out in St. Louis?
He's out in St. Louis.
Oh, I thought you were saying, am I supposed to be in St. Louis? I had a panic moment for a second. You see that? I wasn't drinking last night. I promise I was not drinking last night. Look at it. Anika's face looks like shit's I'm too through. Okay, my
Sinette Sandra Arrington out in BK. She's had a lot of
Ankh
years.
And Ma'at to you, one of our full members. Ankh and Ma'at.
Erosar Ankh Amun Ra out in Dallas, Texas.
Ankh and Ma'at, that's another name you like saying. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Sinette Shenka with us.
Ankh and Ma'at in the DMV area, I believe, right? Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinette Shenka, one of our active members.
We have Teak Wellbeing, a sacred woman out in Roxbury, Massachusetts.
What was the name?
Teak Wellbeing.
Teak Wellbeing. Tika. Ankh and Ma'at to you, one of the family members that are on the branch of the Shrine of Ptah. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
We have Kaburn Reed from Montego Bay, Jamaica, with us for a year.
Ankh Ma'at, are you in Montego Bay or are you from Montego Bay? That's what I want to know because we're still trying to figure out who's the furthest away.
We have Ashbourne Stobbs. Good to see you.
Ankh Ma'at.
Where are you from? Let us know. We have Ayadella. Good to let us know where you're from.
Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at.
Sen Jason says, never presentation last night to our hard work.
Now, see, if I look tired, it is not because I was popping bottles. It's because yesterday was crazy. So, Ankh Ma'at to you. We chat briefly afterwards, too. So.
Ashburn says we're from Atlanta, Georgia.
Ankh Ma'at to the ATL.
Cheryl says she lost her oldest sister on Friday.
Oh.
Just a year after her third oldest transition.
Oh.
Second out of 7 of them. So her heart is heavy.
Please make sure you tell us her full name. Senate Cheryl.
Yeah, we're sorry to hear that.
I'm so saddened to hear that you've lost a member of your family. I know that that is really, really hard, especially when it's a sibling. It feels like a part of you has gone to the ancestral realm. So that's difficult.
We have Sen Gavin, who also says, well done yesterday. Great job developing the Savior's model.
Ankh Ma'at, Ankh Ma'at. I think Sen Gavin is one of the folks that has probably seen the most of that model. I think you've probably seen all of them all together. Ankh Ma'at to you. Good to, and he's in DMV as well. Ankh Ma'at.
Sen Kent Keys, good to see you. Where are you from?
Ankh Ma'at.
We have Tehuti Heka Kepara. Tell us where you're from.
Ankh Ma'at to you.
Ayadel says New York.
Ankh Ma'at. Where? You know you can't just say New York. If
New York, Manhattan.
Manhattan. Oh, so that means that you could just roll up. While they are on the computer right there, we could still be talking and they could be knocking on the window. That's really what that means.
Kai Burnley, who says they're from Montego Bay.
Ooh. I know as it gets chilly, today is a wonderful day. I mean, it's going to be in the mid 50s, which is very unusual for New York City at this time of the year. But I would certainly rather be in Montego Bay, let's say right now. Ankh Ma'at to you.
Yamonja Olukun. Coach Ye from Detroit, Farmington Hills, 2 years.
Yamonja Olukun is Coach Ye?
Yeah. Yamonja Olukun.
Oh, Ankh Ma'at. I recognize, obviously I know Coach Ye, but I recognize the other name. I don't know if I ever put those two names together. Ankh Ma'at to you, Sinette, holding down Motor City. Ankh Ma'at to you.
There's Larry Chandler from North Philly.
Ankh Ma'at, Philly in the house, as usual.
The Common Side FX Best from Honolulu.
Common Side FX Best. Honolulu. Are you in Honolulu? Because Honolulu is further than from where we are clearly than Montego Bay. I'm just wondering if that's where you are right
now. Shane the Watcher is here from California.
616, right? Ankh Ma'at, the Watcher 616. I know you're probably waiting for season 2 of What If. I just saw part of a trailer, so Ankh Ma'at to you.
Isn't Cheryl says her sister's name is Joyce Elaine Blake.
Joyce Elaine Blake. Can we just ask for the Netedru and for the ancestors to take heed of a new ancestor that has become one of your glorious coterie? We are asking, dear Netedru and ancestors, to guide her on her way to the afterlife, to ensure that her scales need not be weighed, to allow her entrance into Aaru, into the Hall of Ma'ati. And we ask that you ensure that her family has solace. We ask that you ensure that her dear sister recognizes that she is actually in a much better place than she was when she is here. Please allow our dear Sinet Cheryl the ability, the faculty to receive your word as you communicate to your family, letting them know that you are preparing a place for them. I must say that when we lose someone in the Shrine of Ma'at family, it is challenging for everyone. Sinet Cheryl is one of our active beloved members. I'm asking that everyone around her, Netedru, give them the strength and give them the wisdom to say words of peace, prosperity, health, and solace to her as she goes through this difficult time. I can say, Twanter, Twanter, Twinter.
Okay.
We're hoping that you are in good stead and that your sister is in good stead as well.
We have that wonderful couple, the Schaefers.
The Schaefers. And I know I'm going to ask where they are, and you're going to look at me like, because you probably know, but I do not know. You didn't share it with me if you do know. What part of the continent of Africa are you on, is what I'm asking. Where are you? I know that you spent a good, I'm using past tense, even though I don't know if it's past tense. You were certainly in Kemet doing, just really working your wonderful musical skill. And I know that they received you in an incredible manner. Anika and I have been to Kemet many times, many times. And I'm trying to say this politely. Maybe I just need to be blunt. Sometimes when I hear people performing music, it's not really that good. so Anika's like, why did you say that? So I know that they don't want you to leave. I know that they are going to try to figure out how to keep you there forever. So I want to know where you are in the world. Was I wrong, Anika? She looked at me cross. Okay, Anka Ma'at to the Schaefers.
We have My Frequency. Tell us where you're from.
Ankan Ma'at.
The Road Renegade says, congratulations on your victory and professionalism. You earned it.
Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at.
My Frequency is from New Jersey.
Ankan Ma'at. You right across the water.
Send Corey Green saying, wishing us a happy Kwanzaa.
Ankan Ma'at to you, Send Corey. I hope all is well. We still need to get up and talk about what's going on with you and Holler. I hope all is well. Ankan Ma'at.
We have Anjana Kanmalu.
Ankan Ma'at, one of our full members out in Florida.
Yeah, Corey says, from Queens and Mississippi and the Stars.
I didn't know that you had Mississippi in your history, Send Corey. I want to know more about that story. Ankan Ma'at to you.
We have Ta Seti. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year to you and your beautiful wife, Anika.
Oh,
much more.
Ankan Ma'at. Go ahead, play to the mod, right? Play to the mod. She's my computer.
Somebody recognizes.
Oh, really? You don't think I do? Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at.
We have Sen Johnny Parker. Tell us where you're from. Let's see. Imhotep Ra, Africa. Tell us where you're from.
Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at.
The Schaefer said that they're still in Kemet.
I knew you would still be there. Now, I'm gonna have like 8 questions because I should just be speaking to them on the phone or on WhatsApp rather than on here. But I don't think you had planned to be there this long, right? Have you extended your stay? Is that what's occurred? Anyway.
Imhotep Ra says, congratulations on your victory.
Ankan Ma'at, Dua.
We have Ajamu Ifamuwagun. I hope I said that correctly. Out in Orlando, Florida.
Ankan Ma'at, powerful name.
We have LJ out in Las Vegas.
Ankan Ma'at, brother LJ, my brother in Vegas. How are you, brother?
And thank you, Question Me. Says he's happy that I'm better. Much love from Alabama.
Yes, because when we had our events, I think it was when we had the winter solstice event. Anika was still recovering, so she's much better. She's not coughing anymore. She was rough a few days, but she's good now. Ankan Ma'at.
We have Katina Cooper out in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at.
Desiree Hall. Tell us where you're from. Might be related to my family or brother Dwayne Hall.
Ankan Ma'at.
We have moving back. Chrisma Moss out in Oklahoma City.
Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at.
Black Ace out in Buffalo.
Ankin Ma'at, Black Ace. I remember you out in Buffalo. How are you doing? Because I know that Buffalo got walloped. I guess that's the word I'll use. Walloped with snow and has really been struggling. And I know that I believe it's raining and warm there now. So there's a concern about flooding. I wonder how you're doing out there.
Desiree is out in the Bronx. We have
Desiree's in the Bronx. That means you right up, you real close. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Ashley Amara. Good to see you.
Ankin Ma'at, Ashley Amara out in LV.
And soon Houston.
I was about to say, you see, I paused for a second, right? Because I was going to say, are you in Houston yet? But I wasn't sure if I should be spilling all her business out here. So she did. We're hoping that your move and your transition goes extremely well. It was wonderful to have dinner with you and see you in person again. So I'm really hoping that everything goes magnificently and that you're doing well on that long drive too. Ankin Ma'at.
Imhotep Ra Africa says he's in New Jersey, but of Jamaican heritage.
Imhotep Ra Africa.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone I think we've communicated with before. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to you in New Jersey, right across the water.
It's said Ronald Green out in Alton, Illinois.
Ankin Ma'at, another person who we've communicated with before.
My frequency asks, how do you respond to someone saying Happy New Year? With having to explain to them that it's not the real New Year.
You know, we live in a secular world, right? So I don't think it's not a religious thing necessarily. So they're not trying to push something on you or proclaim that their tradition is better than yours. When someone says Happy New Year, I say Happy New Year, although I'll be celebrating again in late August, in late summer is what I usually say. And it depends on whether I'm going to spend the time explaining it. Sometimes when I'm just walking around the streets of Harlem and someone says Happy New Year, I just say Happy New Year, right? But definitely, I tried to explain to them that this year is new because it is new. It ain't old. We are the ancients. And certainly we were the ones that gave the world the 365-day year. We should be the ones to dictate when the new year begins and when it ends. However, most people who are saying Happy New Year are just trying to give you love and blessing in the new secular year. So I just sort of answer it in that way most of the time. Could be a teaching moment though, really, really could.
We have Zoe Sarabo out in Phoenix.
Ankin Ma'at to you.
Said Robert James out in Birmingham, UK.
Ankin Ma'at, another person that's on regularly from the UK. That's pretty far away. Did the person from Honolulu say they were actually in Honolulu? I think it might be further than London, but I'm not exactly sure. Ankin Ma'at to you, brother Robert James.
We have Sen Jason Edwards. That's where you are from.
Ankin Ma'at.
We've seen you here with us many times.
Yes, Jason Edwards. Jason Edwards. I feel like I know him from someplace else too. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Kaz. It says A506.
Oh. 06 there, brother. 06.
We have Senator Alicia Bradley out in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Ankin Ma'at.
Jason Edwards is out in Alabama.
Alabama. Ankin Ma'at. That's someplace that I have not been that I want to go. We haven't been out to Alabama. Well, I haven't. Anika may have gone, but I haven't. No? I thought maybe she had traveled for work. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Senator Ashley says she touches down next Sunday.
Ankin Ma'at to you. Making a transition in your life is such a big deal. I know that the folks in LV will miss you, just as the people in Philly probably still are wondering where you are, where you going. Please be safe in your journeys and your travel. I know you have your buddy traveling with you, so that will be good. So Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at.
Blackhead says that everything is fantastic now in Buffalo.
Oh, good. That's good to hear because Buffalo really struggled. I know that I believe that there are over 30, maybe even high 30s of people, of citizens who perished during that recent situation. So I hope that your family is safe and in good stead as well.
We have Jarvis Duncan out in Georgia.
Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Obabini Kwaku Dapa from Libya.
Ankh and Ma'at. Obabini Kwaku. That is a West African name, but they're in Libya. Are you in Libya now? Are you from Libya?
This blessing live from Libya.
Live from Libya. I don't know. Anika, is Honolulu further from us than Libya? It would probably take a good 10 to 11 hours to get to Libya via plane, but I think the trip to Honolulu is longer. I think. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Libya. I don't think that we've had someone from Libya on the Ankh and Ma'at to you. Please let us know where in Libya you are.
And then Sinette Elaine Grubbs, good to see you.
Ankh and Ma'at to you, right here in New York City. Used to live right in the same neighborhood. I know that she's a little further away now. It is wonderful to know that you're out there. I hope that your boys are doing well. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
Yes, Zakia Myrie. Interesting. From New York.
Ankh and Ma'at. Why is that interesting?
It sounds like someone who is at my job, a similar name.
Yeah, that name is certainly we know Zakia's and we know Myrie's. I mean, that's the reality. But so I think we're wondering about the connection. And I'm wondering whether the Zelnor Myrie was your relative? Zelnor was his name, right? Zelnor Myrie? Who passed an important part of this city?
Not sure.
They're in New York City, right?
Yeah.
They might be the same family. Let us know.
We have Yo Folks 3 out in Northeast Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at. Pennsylvania is not far. I really do. I'm going to try to work on this today. I'm going to be announcing a whole raft of museum tours and events. And so hopefully I'll be going back to the Penn Museum really soon as well. Ankh and Ma'at.
Johnny Parker out in Newark, New Jersey.
Ankh and Ma'at, send Johnny. Newark, New Jersey is really close by. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Sassetti, I'm not sure if I called you out already, but I see you here. There's Stay Woke, so that's where you are.
And Stay Woke is someone that's been with us before. Ankh and Ma'at with you, to you.
Obini says that he's from Ghana, but in Libya now.
Yeah, because the name is not a Libyan name, but I wonder, that's a very interesting story. I'd love to hear why you're in Libya, what you're doing in Libya, how Libya is, because I know there's some parts of it that are in difficult situations and others are not. Very interesting story. I'd love to know more about your journey from Ghana to Libya. How are you treated in Libya? All of those things. I'd love to hear more.
Sinette Kawanda is here with us. Good to see
Ankh
you.
and Ma'at in, where is she from? Is it I'm gonna say Tennessee. I was gonna say Tennessee, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna be right. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Someone that travels with us a lot, someone that's near and dear to our heart. And so Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinette.
Yeah. As a kid, Myrie says that the last name is Myrie there in my bloodline. I know there's a Karen Myrie at my.
Yeah, see, there are a lot of, because Myrie is not a common name. And we know Myrie, so we're just wondering whether you're related. Yeah, Ankh and Ma'at to you.
One that says Nashville.
Nashville, Tennessee. Look at that. Now, you've been to Tennessee. I know you went to Tennessee for something.
No.
She's saying no. It was just, you know what I think it was? I think she was in Tennessee for a conference. She just did the conference and she came back. She didn't chill in Tennessee. I'm pretty sure you were there.
Kentucky, but I haven't been.
No, I know you've been in Kentucky because we're going to talk about this later. Yeah. That woman was in Tennessee. I know I went to Tennessee for at the Highlander Center. I did some training there at some point, but other than that, I have not been to Tennessee really very much. And I think we like to see lots of the different parts of this country. As New Yorkers, sometimes we can think that Black people are in New York, they're in Philly, and they're in Atlanta. It's crazy. The reality is that Black folks are all over this country, and I would love to see what folks are doing in the different areas of this country. How do they move? What do they eat? What are the things that they do on a Friday or on a Monday? And so hopefully we'll get out there and see what that's like too.
We have Kali Hercules out in Maryland.
Ankh and Ma'at, I don't think that's a name I've heard before. Ankh and Ma'at to you, welcome.
Spencer Davis out in North Carolina.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
The Kemetic name is Atum Raheru.
Beautiful. Ankh and Ma'at, Atum Raheru. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have I Am Bast in St. Louis.
Ankh and Ma'at. Do we know I Am Bast, don't we? That name is familiar. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Deborah Nelson tells us where you're from. Let's see you. Zakia Meyer says she's from Panama and Jamaica.
Yes, and that's the Myri.
Mhm.
That Myri family is mostly a Caribbean family too. All the folks I know that are named Myri are from the Caribbean. So yeah.
We have Alvin Capone tells us where you're from.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
We have Sinette B with us.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. I hope all is well. She's out there in NC, if I remember correctly. How are things going for you? I hope all is well. Definitely, she is from Harlem, but now in North Carolina. So we used to see her all the time. Now we see her occasionally. I hope everything is going well for you in North Carolina.
At your artwork at Baba's studio just yesterday.
Now you see, she's gonna rub in that she got a chance to go see Baba Heru, but I was preparing for a debate, which really didn't happen. That was a shot in this direction. You should, if you can only see her face right now. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Annette Pinson from Memphis, Tennessee.
Ankh and Ma'at, another Tennessee person there. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
I Am Boss says that she's never met us, but her name is Margot Williams.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
Okay, I think that's everything.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think we spent a little bit more time greeting people today. As we go into a new secular year, it almost feels important to check in with the family and make sure everyone is in good stead, right? And so I'm so pleased to hear that you're all in good stead so far. I know that Tennessee Cheryl, you had a loss in your family. We're praying that you find solace and that your sister reaches out to you and lets you know that she has touched down. And I also really want you all to recognize that while this is not the Kemetic New Year, it doesn't mean that the secular New Year doesn't mean anything to you, right? We live in this world, we interact with people, many of whom are folks that we love and care for, and their goal is certainly not to make us feel uncomfortable with this concept of a new year. So the new year affects all of us, right? It affects all of us. I know I'm going to be writing 2022 for at least the next 2 weeks on things and then scribbling it out. So it is wonderful that you are here on the first day of the secular year. We are so honored that you've taken time out to be here with us. And I know that you're probably also spending time with family. So welcome, welcome, welcome. With that, I'd like for us to do as we do as our elder taught us, do as our shrine of origin, the shrine of Ptah mandated. That is the opening of the way. So please, we want you to stand with us. Remember, this isn't theater. You're supposed to do this along with us, right? Stand with us. And please stand in the pose of adoration. That means you're going to take just a bit of a stride forward. Have your left foot facing forward. And then you're going to extend your palms in front of you. When you extend your palms in front of you, you see the camera's going a little crazy, right? And this is so funny. The way that the camera recognizes to move is for you to put your hands up in front of you. And so perhaps that's a strange camera for practitioners of the Kemetic tradition to actually get. Anyway, you see it's moving, right? And that's because Anika is the one that that moved her hands up. Come on, move now. Supposed to move this way. Anyway, stand with your hands in front of you. There we go. See, it recognized my hand now. And then you're going to put your left hand a bit further forward than your right hand. And you can also have your right hand a bit lower than your left hand. And as you do that, please don't do this. I see practitioners do this. We do not see people with their wrist broken in that way on the walls or in temples. Their hands are ever so slightly bent if they're bent at all. This is called the position of adoration. It is one of the ways that our ancestors both sent and received divine energy. And so we ask you to stand in this manner as our ancestors have done for thousands of years. As you do this, we're going to ask that you simply take a breath. We're going to ask you to take a breath and chant the word for life, which is Ankh. So take a breath. Remember, you're not breathing from here. You're going to breathe from here. And as you breathe from here, see, whenever I put my hand down, then it recognizes that you have your two hands up. That's what's going on. As you breathe from here, you're going to chant the word for everlasting life, Ankh. As you chant that, don't go Ankh, go Om, because you're trying to bring this energy from here up to here. So it's a nasal sound in this instance. Does that make sense? Okay, let's begin.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Luke in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn to the right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Keb Senu.
Anetrak Keb Senu.
Nuke Keb Senu.
Nuke Keb Senu.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twal Winter. Anetrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. Anetrak and Boo in Teru. Nuke and Boo in Teru. Twal Winter. Twal Winter. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Dwa to you. I knew it was going to do that because it was looking at you. Look at it. All the way around. Okay. Do you see me? Come this way. Follow me now. Come on. Follow me. Come on. Come on. Come on. You see me. Come on. There we go. Strange camera for Kemetic practitioners to get, right? Because this is the very thing that tells it that it should follow the person who it's using. So anyway, Ankh and Ma'at to you all. I'm glad that you are doing the opening way with us. Remember, the opening of the way is that ceremony that reminds you that you are a powerful, infinite divine force, that you are a spiritual entity on a physical journey. And being a spiritual entity that is imbued with all of the powers of the divine, there is nothing that is beyond you. There is nothing that is stronger than you. There is nothing that is beyond your comprehension and beyond your completion. And so we ask that you do the opening of the way as our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah, the keeper of the Shrine of Ptah and the studio of Ptah. This is the way that he taught us to commemorate, to recognize, to ritualize all of those things that are important to you. And we always say the beginning of your day is important. So you should at least do it at the beginning of the day. With that, we'd like to go into what we call Hesse. Hesse is ancient African praise. It was the way that our ancient African ancestors in the Hopi Nile Valley region actually galvanized divine energy and harmony in song. And so we are asking that you join us for Hesse. I know that Anika has something cued from that wonderful couple from Dodoa, Ghana, in Kemet, actually originally from Texas. What do you have prepared for us today, Anika?
The new ones, well, newer, I guess, not one of the chants from that, so. The Netteru song.
It's one of the ones that they created.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. It's the Netteru song?
I don't remember the actual name.
Okay. Wonderful. Please enjoy this Hesse that was done by the Schaeffers. That's just beautiful. It is beautiful, and I can say to you that this music, this Hesse, is certainly something that you can take along with you. You may remember that you will find all of the songs. They're streaming on virtually all platforms. Just look for Temple Music Volume One, Kemetic Meditations. Did I just mess that up? No, I got it right. Right. Good.
It's actually the other way around. It's Kemetic meditation.
Kinetic, see that? Kemetic Meditations, Temple Music Volume One, right? And so it is powerful that you have the opportunity to have access to it. It's just the kind of stuff that you can have during your day to allow you to galvanize divine energy to do the work that you must do. And so we're so pleased to have been able to work with that wonderful couple to create these Hesse.
We have a question.
Yes, please.
Victor Thomas asked, what is the true New Year date on the Assyrian calendar or Egyptian calendar? And one person responded September 11th. So let's see what your answer is.
First of all, you should know that September didn't exist in the Kemetic calendar, right? We had several months. We had 10 months and 3 seasons. I don't know what the month would be right now. I'd have to actually look at it and give you an answer, a better answer as to exactly what the date would be. Usually what I do when I'm thinking of what date to actually use is I begin by thinking of 3100 and I add 3100 to the year that we're in right now. So at least in terms of the year, you could say that this is 5123. You could say that. Excuse me. And there are those who would give you another date. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. It means that we are all trying to synthesize a current calendar with one that was an ancient calendar. And one of the things that I am not able to do in excellence yet is to read the actual movements of the heavens. It's one of the things that I'm looking to add to my repertoire. I was just searching yesterday for some astronomy courses that I could take because I want to be able to read the stars and tell the date myself in the manner that our ancestors would have. But September did not exist. There are different months in the Kemetic calendar. There are 10 months. Each year, each week was about 10 days, right? So we didn't have a 7-day week. We had a 10-day week. And the calendar was 360 days plus 5 extra days. On those 5 extra days, it was like a large celebration. By the way, you should know in the secular Western world, we have celebrations every now and then. In the Kemetic world, in the African world, there are celebrations all the time, all the time, all the time. And spiritual celebrations all the time. It's not like you go to church on Sunday and every now and then there's an important Sunday. It didn't work that way. There were monthly festivals, half-month festivals, festivals for particular deities, festivals to remember the deities that everyone recognized, festival for the deities in your particular sepat or state. There were festivals all over at all times. And so we definitely need to be clearer about the calendar so that we're able to bring it back into existence. It's one of the things that we will definitely do in the coming period. I have been told that our elder has entered the room. Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata. He might have been sitting there peeking for a while before acknowledging that he was there. Can we say Ankh and Ma'at to our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata? His journey is our journey. His steadfastness becomes our steadfastness as he has done this for decades. So we hope that the Creator will give us breath in our lungs that we might exemplify his life and do this for decades. And so I want to say much more to Baba Heru. Please give him some love in the room. Make sure that you're visiting Sopata.com so that you can support the incredible Sa that he does. And you know what else? Sa is not the only way you can support Baba, right? You know that, right? Right? I know you want Sa, and that's amazing because his Sa is is splendiferous, amazing, infertile, right? Look at this piece I've been wearing. I think I got this right after our initiation in 1998. Maybe I got this in 1999. And I've been wearing it every day since 1999. People still stop me. I was at physical therapy for my back, dealing with sciatica. It is subsiding greatly, so I'm doing well. And the physical therapist had not been with me. And so we were doing work and then she stopped. And I was like, man, that was a quick massage. Is she done? And she said, your bracelet is amazing. I've never seen anything like that before. Where is it from? Who made it? And so I had to stop and tell her the story of Studio Apep. So I am quite sure that she is going to be on her way there very soon because she just couldn't stop talking about it the whole session. So you can certainly go to Studio Apep and support him, but you could also just send him some money on Cash App, right? You know that you can do that. So it doesn't mean that he has to do more work for support. Getting size incredible, but also just support him. Okay. Can you put his Cash App in the chat as well? I'm not sure if I remember. I don't want to say it incorrectly. So if you could just also just support our elder because he should be able to live comfortably at this point. As much as he has given to us, he should be able to live comfortably. And I know for a fact that he is not living comfortably. Even in his 8th decade, he is still working very hard. And in some way, that is our failure. We need to be able to support our elder so that he does not have to work so hard at this point in his life. He should be able to just sit back, sucking on mangoes and enjoying all the things that he's done. That's what he should be able to do. So please support our elder. And Baba, I know I'm remiss. Anika went down there on Friday. I was trying to get there on Friday. When I knew that I wasn't going to be able to, Anika said, well, I'm going anyway. So she went by herself. I have not seen Baba in a long time. We've spoken, but I haven't seen him. I'm definitely going to attempt to come see you this week because I'm remiss. I haven't seen my elder in some time, and I hope all is well. Okay, so today, what I'd like to do is talk about a topic that is important at this time of the year. In many ways, what we are doing is we're all chasing the light, are we not? It becomes clearer that we're chasing the light, particularly we're chasing the rays of Ra or the Ra's of Re. We are chasing this light more in the Western Hemisphere during this time of the year that we would call winter, when it's colder, when some of us are getting seasonal affective disorder, SAD. I wonder if the person that made the term SAD knew that it stood for SAD and they backed in from SAD, because seasonal affective disorder definitely makes you sad. Not getting the sun can affect you. And I would argue that it affects the people of the sun more than the people of the ice. I would argue that it affects us more. I know that when Anika and I, this is before the pandemic, we're out and about and meeting members of the African-centered community and even of the Kemetic community, I would say starting at about late October, you just didn't see them. We would only see people really from about April to October. Other than that, you ain't seeing them. You ain't seeing them. In fact, Anika and I would always go to the Dance Africa Festival at the Brooklyn Academy of Music every year, and we would recognize that there were people we had not seen the entire period. Dance Africa is in May. When it's cold, we do very little. That's just the reality. We are people of the sun. I remember when I was actually at Cornell. Cornell is in upstate New York. It is colder there than it is here, and it snowed more there than it did here. And I remember really being all kinds of bundled up, trying to get to class and feeling all stressed out. And I would see a Tamil student, a student of European descent, walking I wish I was exaggerating. This is in the middle of the snow. They just shoveled so you could walk. It is clearly in the 20 degrees, in the 20-degree area, someplace around there. I got boots on, I got thermals on, I got jeans on, I got a sweater on, I have a coat on, I have a scarf on, I have a hat on, I have gloves on, I got everything on, and I'm struggling. And I would see a Tom Who student walking maybe with a vest jacket, one of those puffy jackets, sometimes a t-shirt, shorts, no socks, and Birkenstocks. No scarf, no hat. The vest is open and they just chilling. They just chilling. And I'm sitting there going, what is happening here? I'm struggling. That was a regular occurrence. Am I exaggerating, Anika? No, that was regular. That was when it became clear to me, clearer, because before going to Cornell, most of my time was with people of African descent. Then when I went to high school, I had access to a lot of people of European descent, and they did something similar. But when I got to Cornell, it was really stark because that Ithaca, New York is cold. There were winters in Ithaca where it snowed virtually every day. Maybe not accumulation every day, but every day there was snow. It is cold there. I remember moving in one year with one of my best friends, my brother. And we're moving into our apartment. By the way, that apartment was terrible. We're moving into our apartment and we're listening to the radio as we move in. And the guy keeps saying, with the wind chill factor, we believe that the weather is about 40 below. And we're moving in and there's ice everywhere. He has this little small Nissan Sentra that is struggling on the ice. And as we're moving in, he slipped and fell on the ice at least 8 times. I mean, I'm not talking about slipped like, oh, I slipped. I mean, I'm talking about hit the ground at least 8 times. And when we finally got into that crummy apartment, which we realized was not even habitable for students, he said, why did we come to a place that is covered in ice? He was so miserable. This is really not weather that we're comfortable in. We are the people that more than anyone else follows the movement of the sun, are vivified by its rays, bask in its enjoyment, in its splendor. And so living here in the West and noticing that we are at a time where we get very little sun, very little warmth, it becomes even clearer to us that we must recognize the importance of Ra. And so today I want to talk to you about being a warrior and restoring the light. In some ways, today's word from the Sabaeed talks about some historical issues and also how we should be at this time of the year, what we should do at this time of the year, because we are practitioners and practitioners practice. That's what it means. That's why you hear me use the word all the time. It ain't just what you think. It ain't just what you've read. It ain't just what you believe the world has actually brought forward before you ever drew breath. It's what you do, how you behave. And so today I'd like to talk about being a warrior and restoring the light. As you look at this image, you are seeing a European image that has become extremely, extremely popular. I know that there are some of you that recognize that we kind of talked about this a little bit last night, did we not? If you were part of the discussion on Sonetta around the African origins of Christianity, you might have seen me even show this slide. Who is this? Who is this? And I want you to go further if you know more. Who is it that is behind him? What are you looking at? Please tell me what this image is. I want you to let me know what this is. Please let me know. Is there anyone that has an answer? Nobody? No? Okay. Well, I want you, as you look at this, to recognize that you are seeing an image that becomes very popular in the Western world. It is Saint George killing the dragon. This is Saint George and the dragon. And I'm going to say to you, if you are familiar with this, you can recognize that it has become extremely, extremely popular. It is one of the stories that we should recognize in many ways is an echo of earlier stories. It's an echo of earlier stories. We see a warrior killing a monster and saving a princess. Now, some of you might say, well, in some ways, this actually goes back to the story of Perseus and Andromeda, right? It is similar to it, but I want you to recognize that it goes even earlier than this, that it is even older and has an ancient African origin, and not just an ancient African origin, it also has come forward in a very different form today. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. You're going to see how common this image is. The middle one is actually at the Metropolitan Museum. The statue is missing its arm and its hand, but you should know that there was a spear there. The one on the left, you can see that the horse is on the dragon. You can see that the spear has a cross at the top of it. It's plated in gold. It's an amazing statue. The one on the right, similarly, you see this warrior with the spear spearing the dragon. This is a very popular image. Here are coins. Now you can see that these old coins actually are minted to Saint George's Patronus. Ecvitium Patronus is what it says. This is really old. And I'm going to say that these coins, the earliest that these coins could be, are probably from the 900s, the 10th century of the Common Era. And you'll even see that this particular image, Britain Needs You at Once, is the British people using the imagery of St. George to rally the British people during World War I. This is a very common image. So who is St. George? You should understand that St. George is mostly mythical. We do not know if there was an actual person by the name of George, but if there was someone who they basically put all this myth on, he was a soldier that lived at around 303 of the Common Era. And supposedly he refused to denounce Christianity, so he was killed by the Roman Emperor Diocletian. And so that is, if there is an original person, that's the story. But I'm going to tell you, we hear and almost nothing about this supposedly historical character. The actual imagery and narrative that we hear is all legendary. Is all legendary. So we hear that the original person may have been part of the Praetorian Guard. But clearly, we really end up hearing that he has been venerated now in many countries, England, even Ethiopia and Georgia, the country of Georgia. and that he is memorialized in the legend of St. George and the dragon. Look at this image here. You can see him again striking the dragon down, and you can see the princess off in the background. Can you see the princess? He lured the dragon out of his lair to kill him. And once again, at the top of his spear is a cross, because part of this has gone into a spiritual myth. I want you to also understand that the Ethiopians have fully embraced George, but they don't look at George the same way that the Europeans do. What you are seeing here is a description of the Battle of Adwa. The Battle of Adwa. I want you to understand that on one side you are seeing the Ethiopians, and on the other side you are seeing the Italians. Can you see the different flags? Look at it carefully for a second. It's a very interesting image. And you can also notice that the Ethiopians are fighting other Black people and other people who are brown. Because what the Ethiopians are also telling us is the Italians also had other people fighting for them. Can you notice that some of them even have fezzes over here? Very fascinating image. But at the top of this battle, we see St. George and his spear, and he is fighting the Italians on behalf of the Ethiopians. I'd like for you to tell me, as you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are seeing clearly the image of the Ethiopian king that is leading this battle against the Italians. What is the king's name? Yes, it's written up here in Amharic if you look closely. There it is. There's the name. Now you know Anika's going to start peering into the screen because she's. You'll see that there are some names. There's a name here as well. Can you see that there's some writing in here? I want you to look at this closely. It's a fascinating image. There's writing here. There's more writing here. They're trying to tell you a story. They are trying to tell you a story. Can you see there are even a few captured folks down here? Here are Italians that have been captured. Very interesting. Did we get anyone give us the name of the king that led the Ethiopians in the Battle of Adwa? Now, I want you to know the Battle of Adwa is a historical event that you should know. Sometimes when we describe these battles between the Western world and the African world, between Europeans and Africans, we only describe it like Africans continue to lose, they continue to lose. And sometimes we approach this general situation that we're in from almost like a position of embarrassment, because we are the captured, we're the folks that lose. You should know that Ethiopia is the country on the continent of Africa that was never colonized. It suffered greatly in its battles with Italy, but it was never colonized. And one of the reasons why the Italians came back to fight the Ethiopians in World War I, at around World War I, is because they got their clocks cleaned thoroughly by the Ethiopians. That's what, and it was at the Battle of Adwa. They were still smarting from the tuckus kicking they got from the Ethiopians. Do we have an answer?
So, Astronomer Ross says Menelik, Jason Holmes says Menelik II.
Yes. Menelik II is the person that led the army. Yes. Yes. You should know this. This is important African history. And the Ethiopians are saying we were actually victorious partially because we had the assistance of St. George at the top. Now, of course, their image don't look like the image that you saw from Europe. Let's look at a close-up of St. George that they have here. He got like an afro, right? I mean, look at him. This is the image they have of St. George. So in their understanding, in their recognition of the mythos, they have reckoned him completely different. Now, are the Ethiopians wrong to do this? Are the Ethiopians wrong to do this? Let's be clear. We're talking about a myth. We're talking about a myth. There are some that say that the myth was originally set in Cappadocia, because that is supposedly where, if there was a historical person, that is supposedly where he lived. But when I listen to the myth, and here's the interesting thing. You've heard me say this before if you're a partaker in Kemetic Ascension. I was a bookish kid, right? I was a kid that really enjoyed a book. I remember one summer my mother looking at me and saying, "You don't want to go outside?" And I didn't even understand the question. I was like, "No, I'm reading," right? She's working. My mother is a seamstress, a high-end seamstress. So she was working. She realized that she hadn't heard from her son for a while. So she comes up the stairs to see what I'm doing. I'm sitting there reading. And she says, "You don't want to go outside?" She's concerned about me. And I said, "Mom, I'm reading." She said, "Well, when are you going to be finished reading?" And I said, "Oh, I'm done." So then I turned on PBS and I'm like, "Wow, do you see this documentary?" She's so worried. She says, "You're going to turn off the TV and you're going to go outside." Right? And I can hear kids playing outside. By the way, there's a backdrop to this. The week before I went outside, I was playing with those kids. There was one little Tom Hool kid. There was another black kid. We were playing and having fun. And the little white kid looked at us and called us the N-word. And the black kid laughed. So you should know, I was like, why am I dealing with this foolishness? I'm a read, right? Because I would think the black kid would have my back and we would say, "Look, you're not going to talk to us like that." That's not what happened. Anyway, my mother told me to turn off the TV and go outside, but she didn't tell me not to take my book. So here I am sitting outside in the sun, and I was enjoying the sun, reading a book. And I remember my mother looking at me in the window and shaking her head like, "That is not what I meant." But I was really aware of the narrative of St. George as a child. And I remember that when I read the narrative, it didn't say Cappadocia. It said that he was a soldier in Syene. Now, I didn't know where Syene was. Most people have never heard of it today. Does anyone know where Syene was in the story that I was being told? Let's see if you know. Did I see a hand? Was there a comment question?
Yes, Baba Haru stated that George in Spanish is pronounced he or he. In Greek Horus and Kemet Heru, note his garment is red and white for the colors of Shango and Heru Huti. The Heru kings of Kemet wore the red and white crown. This scene is borrowed from Kemet, showing Heru slaying the dragon of Apep.
Woo! Now by the way, you may know that Baba's old legal last name was Hjorgis. So you know that he has given this thought for decades. For decades. Baba, I'm going to tell you, last night when I talked a bit about St. George in my discussion on Sonnetter, I was looking for an etymologist to help me describe the origin of the name George. And because I couldn't find it, I omitted it from my presentation. Sometimes when you're in a discussion, a debate, a discourse, there are things that you want to say, but you know that you don't have as much that you can cite definitively. So you take the more conservative approach. But yes, I believe that one of the reasons why he is named George is because George initially, even as you saw on the coin, was Georges. And Georges comes from Horus. Because Heru's name goes into the Greco-Latin world, the Greco-Roman world, as Horus. I have a cousin right now whose name is Horus. And older, because he's a little bit older than me and a little arrogant. When we do see each other, we don't see each other often now that we're adults. He used to always argue. And I remember being a young man telling him, Horus, your name should be spelled Horus, or maybe you should just call yourself Heru. He had no idea what I was talking about. He was offended. I tried to explain. He was more offended. I tried to say I wasn't insulting him. He was more offended. You can tell that he and I don't get along very much. I want you to understand that names in the Western world, some of those names in the Western world have their origins even in the African world, in the older world. I remember Dr. Clark saying to me that Thomas actually must have originally come from Tehutimes. And that Denis was originally Dionysus, who was originally Osiris, who was originally Asar. There's going to be a time that linguists and etymologists are able to draw these back. Because if you look at it now, you're going to just see them drawn back to something in the European world. The early European world was greatly indebted to the ancient African world. This is a fact. This is a fact. I met a woman years ago whose name was Isadora. In fact, there's the male name Isidore and the female name Isadora. And I said to her, this is probably about, man, this must have been, I was just graduating. So maybe this was nearly 30 years ago. And I remember saying to her, what does Isadora mean? I already had an answer, but I want to know what she knew. And she gave me something. I said, no, I don't think that's the origin. I said, you have to understand that Isadora comes from one who is adored by Isis. Isis is the Greek version of Ast or Osset. Your name is an ancient African name. She was offended. She didn't say she was offended. I could tell that she was offended. She was a Tomhu woman, and I could see she stayed away from me completely after that. She didn't work in the same place I did, but we worked at agencies that had lots of interaction. She never spoke to me again. We'd be in the same place, and amazingly, as soon as I would enter, she would have a reason to leave. It was so obvious that sometimes people said, what did you say to her? She don't like you. And all I was doing is telling her that her name is adored by Isis. By the way, this is before the internet. Jabari is old. Jabari is old. I got that from books. You know what I'm saying? If you search Isadora now, that is what you will see. Now you'll be able to see that easily. But in 1995, 1996, the internet was in its infancy. You couldn't just search something like that. I did not have the internet at home in 1995. And I remember when I first got the internet at home, my parents had asked me to come and return home after graduation. I remember I actually was using the phone line. I had to get my own line. And my parents would sometimes, when they knew I was on the internet, they would pick up the phone to hear the because they thought it was interesting. I was like, you're breaking my internet connection. My father would be like, but this is interesting. What is that sound? And we would talk about it forever. I miss my dad so much. He thought it was fascinating that I was able to communicate with people all over the world. This is the early internet. Now we take it for granted that you can talk to people all over the world. I'm talking to people from Honolulu, from London, from Libya right now. And we don't give it a second thought now. The world has changed. You must understand that as we look at some of these images, you are actually seeing an echo of the things that you brought to the world, African. That's who St. George is. Are the Ethiopians crazy to paint him as a dude with an afro? No! They are not. In many ways, it is the European images that are the reboot. It's the European images that are the remix. It's the European images that are cultural appropriation. The African images are primary. Now, when I say these things, it's Africans that attack me now. It's Black folks that attack me. It's Black folks that attack you, as you say it. I know who I'm talking to. Look at you strangely, don't want to have anything to do with you, always praying for your soul. I know how they treat you. They treat you like they treat me. So Baba Heru Dwa for that breakdown. Now, you know I'm going to go onto the site and clip it, right? Because as I didn't say it yesterday, I heard Baba in my ear saying, this is what you should say about St. George. I know that that was happening. If there's anyone that has a breakdown of the etymology of George, it is Baba Heru because of his own last name of birth. He's been thinking about this for a really long. He thought about when I was talking about this is before the internet. He was thinking about it so old for such a long period of time that listen, the internet wasn't even a thought. It wasn't even in its infancy. It wasn't even at a point where people had the concept they were going to build something like the internet. That's how long he's been studying this. Let's continue. Let's continue. Here's another image of St. George. Here's another image of St. Look at the dragon there. I think it's fascinating that in this one he's barefoot. I wish I could read the Amharic text here. What are they doing here with this tree? Are they standing in a tree to get a glimpse at St. George? Who is this holy person who is actually also now giving this person with a sword some sort of blessing? And he's holding the cloak. I believe this is Menelik at the top. Who are these people? Aren't you fascinated like I'm fascinated? Is Menelik wearing a merkut around his neck? This is fascinating to me. These stories are our stories. Look at how the Ethiopians commemorated St. George. This is the most magnificent of all of their stone carved churches. This church is carved out of one piece of bedrock. The image on the left shows you ground level. They actually carved down to create this 5-story intricate structure. These are not bricks. This is one stone. This is like a statue that is a building. And the thing that's amazing is not just that they did it, but that this church is still in use today. In some ways, they don't necessarily think of, some of the people that use it don't think of it as an ancient site. They just think that's their church. Bet St. George's. It is beautiful. Can you see the people standing at the doorway? Can you see how large this is? Look at the people standing at the doorway. It is carved in the shape of a cross. And all of those designs, once again, not bricks. They carved it out of one stone, one piece of bedrock. And if you look at it here, you're going to see the orangey, rustish look of the Ethiopian soil in this area. And you'll see this greeny, mossy, this is right after the rainy season. It is amazing. Look at the windows. You have to go see these things. Look at an image of Anika and myself. This is years ago. Anika looks a lot younger. Look at Anika.
Excuse me?
Anika looks the same as she does today. The same as she does today. I look much, much younger. Look at Anika's face. She looks like a little girl. She's not. Oh, now I'm in trouble, y'all. I stay in trouble. She looks like a little girl. I mean, let's just be clear. We went there ages ago. Why? Because we have searched for the image, for the excellence of Africans around the world. By the way, I'm going to tell you something interesting. When we took this picture, it was raining. We jumped out the vehicle, took the picture, and then got back in the vehicle because it started raining again. This was in the rainy season. Beautiful, beautiful place to be. These are our story. And I want you to know that as you're seeing this here, the story of St. George, the legend of St. George, comes directly from the narrative of Heru defeating Apep. What you're seeing here is a portion of the window of a Kemetic, let me not say Kemetic, a Coptic Christian church from the I believe that, around the 4th century of the Common Era. The story of, and he's, because of the 4th century, Heru is in like Roman clothing. I want you to understand, this is before the narrative of St. George, which in the Western world, we see St. George on a horse killing a dragon in at earliest the 10th century. So this is like 500 or 600 years before. Can you see that these images have been transmogrified? That's what you're seeing. These images have been transmogrified. They come from you. Notice that once again, it's an aquatic animal. The original is Heru fighting Apep as a hippo. You're going to see Heru having this battle, and very often, the most ancient story is the battle that Ra has to have against Apep to maintain the light, the sun. But you're also going to see, here's the old image. Can you see this is Heru fighting on behalf of Ra? Heru is in the prow of the boat. Ra is in the piece of the boat that the vaunted divine character would sit in. And Heru is spearing the snake that is Apep. These are the original images. This is before Perseus and Andromeda. By the way, even in the story of Andromeda, Andromeda and her mother Cassiopeia are the queen and princess of Ethiopia in that story. They've taken so much from you, beloved. They've taken so much from you. It is time for us to take it back. Take a look at this analogy of of defeating the snake. Let's go to symbolism now. The snake is supposed to be a symbol for all of the challenges that you have. I love how the snake here is coiled in a way that almost looks like the infinity symbol. Like there is going to be an eternal battle against the snake. And I know that as a student of Baba Heru for so many years, he loves the depiction of the snake with a spear in each of the coils. Because in many ways, you don't have to just defeat the snake by the head. You have to continue. It continues to emanate. You must remain vigilant. Doesn't it feel sometimes that when you got one problem, you got another problem, and then when you notice that problem, there's two more on its way? Isn't that how the world occurs sometimes? Your Kemetic ancestors were saying, yes, it may feel like that. Remain vigilant. You can surmount every single one of the coils of Apep, the symbol of chaos. That is what we're seeing. That you are a warrior of light, and that Apep's goal is to extinguish it. That's what we're seeing. You, Heru, are battling against the warriors, the sons of the impotent rebellion. Some of you will know what I'm referring to in the Pertemeru. That's who you are. And in many ways, as we look at the winter solstice, this is the best time of the year to tell this story about how you must be a warrior for the light. In fact, one of the ceremonies that likely occurred at the winter solstice was the stamping out of Apep. So what I'm going to ask you is, how are you going to be a warrior for the light this day? At this part of the time of the year where you have much less sun and it might affect your emotional state. At the time of the year where you might be stuck inside because it's cold, and so you're not having a chance to commune with your family and friends in the manner that you would have liked. At the time of the year where you're cold and all you really want to do is burrow into a hole rather than stand forward and do the things that you know you should do. What are the things that you need to deal with? You might have, if you were part of our our winter solstice celebration, remember that I asked for you to actually write down 7 things that you want to leave behind in the period that preceded the solstice, and 7 things that you want to bring into fruition, that you want to give birth to, that you want to make manifest, will manifest during this period. I hope you've done your homework. What are the 7 things that you've left behind? And what are the 7 things that you are going to bring into existence? You will be stronger if you are able to recall, if you are able to write down, if you're able to acknowledge those things that you must do during this period. This story of the Battle of St. George, which is actually the story of the Battle of Heru, is not a historical story. It's a mythic story, which means it is not something that occurred once. It is something that is always occurring. You are the character at the center of the narrative. What is it that you must do during this period? I want you to take those 14 items and I want you to go to your altar today. I want you to think about, commemorate, and recognize those things that you must bring into existence. For the 7 things that you've written down that you must extinguish, light them and burn them on your altar. And for those 7 things that you are bringing, that you are discarding, write them and burn them on your altar. And for the 7 things that you are bringing into existence, write them into a nice little note, fold it up, and put it in your pocket. And the reason why I want you to put it in your pocket is because every time you go into your pocket for your Android phone, your iPhone, your keys, your wallet, whatever, you're going to remember that this is the journey that you are on. That this is your story. That you are bigger than the things that are troubling you. That you, a divine, infinite being, will spear every emanation of Apep. That you are a warrior imbued with divine powers. That all of those things that are troubling you, you can surmount. But you have to recognize your divinity first. You have to work in your divinity first. You have to allow yourself to be the sanctified being before you can have your victory. So please do this work today so that the rest of your week, in fact, the rest of your secular year, will occur differently than the challenges that you've left behind in the old secular year. You don't have to think of it as a secular year. Think about it as the movements of the solstice, as the winter solstice. That's how we would have done it. It's time for you to do that. Be the ancient African in modern battle with inequity. Draw all of the tools of the most powerful individuals ever to put 10 toes on the earth. That's what you must do in this period, beloved. You are capable. You are infinite. You are powerful. Live into your divinity in this day. With that, I say the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. Please go and do the work that you must do. Your ancestors mandate that it be done. Anika, can you come forward for the final affirmation?
Itepu, everyone. Good to see you again. I want to say I apologize for not acknowledging all of those who made individual donations today. Had some challenges being able to access the Cash App accounts to be able to see who's made donations. So I will acknowledge you the next time around. I do apologize, but I want to say dwa'u to everyone who has given donations to the shrine and always is helpful for the work that we are doing, and we would like to continue to do. I want to remind all of you, we still have spaces if you're interested in going on our tour during the summer in 2023 now. We will be traveling starting late July into August, both to Kemet and to Ghana. You can choose to go to one or the other or both. Please visit our website at www.centerformaat.com. That's CENTERFORMAAT. And you'll have all the details available. There's a brochure, and it'll explain to you all of the days of the schedule, so you can see exactly what we do when we get there.
Yes.
You'll see some magnificent sites, several museums, several ancient sites in both Kemet, and a few interesting areas in Ghana as well. So we're hoping that you'll be able to travel with us.
Mm-hmm. And you should also know there are many of you who either have asked about initiation or are interested in initiation, or you know you should be interested, you just ain't saying nothing yet. There's some of you who are with us all the time. You should be initiated member of the Shrine of Ma'at. The application is now live. Go to the Shrine of Ma'at website and you'll see the application. Please submit it quickly because we're going to start interviews shortly. Everyone that submits an application will be interviewed because we want to make sure that we're the right spiritual home for you and that you are the right spiritual worker for us. And so we take it very seriously. Please submit your application. For those of you who might struggle to pay, there are some limited work study arrangements that are available. We do not want money to prevent you to be part of the Shrine of Ma'at, but let's be clear, we do need money to do the things that we do. There's no way that we can go to Spectrum, our cable operator, and say, this is reparations, you're gonna give us internet. It don't work that way. So all of the things that we need cost something. So as Anika said, we want to thank you for your donations. We want to thank you for the things that you are doing to assist the shrine. And we even want to thank you for your membership in the shrine if you're able to pay. In addition to that, I'm going to be announcing my African Origins of Spirituality course. I usually do it in December. Of Christianity, that's what I said? African Origins of Christianity course. I usually do it in December. I was extremely busy. I'm going to be offering it in late January. I'm also going to be offering the African American history course and the Kemetic history course soon. So there's a lot going on. Please be prepared. I'm going to announce, like I said, a raft of museum tours and other tours. It's really time to get out there and start doing things again as the world has reopened almost completely at this point. So follow us and find out how you can be part of this journey.
Okay, so we will end with one of the oldest prayers found in the Reu and Pert Amheru and Ger, the book of coming forth to day from night, known as the Amasu. So please stand in the pose of adoration and repeat after me. Amasu en Pater.
Amasu en Pater.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Ementra.
Ementra.
En Pater.
En Pater.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the one most high.
Give yourself to the one most high.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it
Just
today.
as you did it today.
Twa winter.
Twa winter.
Thank you to the divine.
Thank you to
and
the
thank
divine.
you to all of you.
Dua. Dua, Shemin Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. We are so honored that you have been here with us, and we look forward to spending so much more time with you in this new secular year. With that, go do your work. Go do your work. We'll see you all soon. Shemin Ma'at, go forth in divine balance.